Consider you're a man and your boy in your formative years going through puberty. The majority of your interactions are on social media.
Yep.
And so you get to this point where you get a little bit older and then you start talking to women. And then like what you're talking about, Monica, a lot of guys won't get that because they're afraid to talk to women. Or
exactly.
It's not very popular, not traditionally good looking. And so what happens is now they keep guessing wrong whenever they have these interactions. And because they keep getting wrong, they get punished. They don't understand why they're being punished.
They get down about just the relationship. Yeah.
I came out as bisexual last year, and since then, I have been dating women. And what I found very fascinating is that the more I date women, the more I find myself understanding heterosexual men. Let me explain. Exhibit A. I was on a first date with a girl who asked me out, by the way. This is relevant because when the check came, she never once made a move to pay. Not even like the fake, let me reach for my purse move. And though I don't mind paying on a date, part of me felt like, the offer would have been nice. I was also a little taken aback that she didn't even say thank you. And I never heard from her again. It really made me feel like she just asked me out so she could have a free dinner. And the moment I thought that, I was like, oh my God, I sound like all of my guy friends right now. And my argument against why guys should pay for dates has always been like, look, girls take hours to get ready. Our investment is looking really nice for you. Makeup, clothes, that costs money too. But we were both girls in this situation. We both took hours to get ready, so I definitely felt slighted. Exhibit B. On another date, I went back to a girl's house and I ended up making friends with her cat. That's not a pun, I'm talking about her literal, actual animal. And she said, wow, my cat never likes anyone. I better go out and buy a wedding dress. And again, I felt like I got some serious perspective. I have been guilty of making these kinds of jokes on dates with men. I never really thought anything of it. I was just being silly. But then when I was on the receiving end of it, I suddenly understood the panic. And finally, Exhibit C. One girl invited me back into her house, and her specific words were, do you want to come in and make out? Obviously, I'm like, yeah, you're really pretty. I want to press my face to yours. But then when we got there, we both just sat on the couch and she talked till like 3 a.m. And I was like, yo girl, I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m. I was told there would be kisses here. There are no kisses. And like, look, I don't want to sound like an asshole. Like, I don't mind talking. I love talking. But she could have said, do you want to come in and just talk? And I would have had totally different expectations for the evening. Finally I started falling asleep and I was like, hey, I gotta go. And I gave her one kiss and left. And I felt sad that the amount of kisses promised did not equal the amount of kisses delivered. And once again, I felt like a dude who was upset that I did not receive the expected physical kisses I was promised. And I wanted to talk about this because I felt like this has really been expanding my perspective when it comes to dating. I finally understand a lot of the complaints my male friends have about dating that I admit I would usually dismiss. But now I really get it when they say, dating is just so expensive, man. Sometimes I feel like a girl doesn't...
Welcome to the Groove. We've been going through this.
So would you say that those roles of like gender, like the male and female roles show up even in same-sex relationships?
Yes.
Like the provider and the...
Yeah, they do.
I think it's interesting how she picked up on that she said one thing and then did another. I do feel as though we as women, we can do that if we're not extra conscious of that.
That's crazy.
But I think it's more of a lady trait.
Yeah, well, I mean, the number one thing, and again, it's nobody's fault here, but because trying to explain attraction to women, like a lot of times you guys don't understand what you're attracted to. You understand what makes you feel comfortable, but it's like when women say things like, I want a man who's kind, reads books, takes care of animals, and buys me flowers. It's like, no, you want a man you're attracted to be kind, who reads books, buys you flowers, but you leave that part out. Women rarely ever say that first part. And because of that, guys are like, oh, she wants a guy to be nice to her. I'm going to go. Can we go on a date? On Instagram. What are these? Oh, these weirdos. They're hitting me up all the time. Why are these weirdos hitting me up? Because you said you wanted a guy who's going to be nice. I had Masha Daidu come on my podcast one time. She goes, I just like guys who are really nice. I'm like, I love you, honey, but shut the fuck up. Yeah. You don't like guys who are nice. You like super handsome, rich dudes who are nice.
Go ahead.
Stop it.
Go ahead, Laura.
But it really does boil down to what she was saying about organic. Like, there is that attraction. You meet them in person. It's not online. It's not fake, right? Like there has to be some attraction there.
Well, like more to your point, we need to make a distinction between arousal and attraction. Okay, so there's like when you ask a woman, what are you looking for in a man? Oh, I want a guy who likes puppy dogs and rainbows, and my mom likes him, and he wants kids in the future, and he makes X amount of money, and he's educated, has a great personality, all this very long-term kind of qualities. But if I say, what about a guy who really gets you off? Like, okay, he's got to have biceps, he's got to have a V taper, he's got to have a six-pack.
No,
they won't even say that.
They'll say dad bod. I don't care how tall he needs to be.
Exactly.
They say this nonsense, and then you see who they date, and it's like,
Hey, I always own up to straight out of jail with face tattoos.
of course, you do, yes, you are.
I own up to that.
One with your toxicity.
There's the arousal factor, which has to be there before you get to the long term. Oh, he likes rainbows and puppy dogs, and my mom loves him. Right? There's got to be those two. And I keep telling even my guys, like, you have to have a certain level of arousal factor for you to even get your foot in the door in the first place.
Yeah, I can understand why a lot of these kind of like the angry pill guys and the incels always are screaming in the comments, pay attention to their actions and not what they say. Pay attention to what they're doing and not what they're saying. I get it. I feel for them, and that I think if we as women did learn to be a little bit more direct, I try to keep it like 3 to 5 sentences and then end it with a question. Actually, Michael taught me that, end it with a question. And then for me, that seems to be the best kind of communication when I'm communicating with the opposite sex.
There was a guy just this morning, as a matter of fact, it was in my Twitter feed, and there's this guy who is just absolutely yoked. You could tell he's on gear or something. His tweet or his message might have been on Reddit. Was, this is the body I have after 14 years of putting this time and effort and energy into it, and the girl that he wants is with a guy who makes less money, has no muscles, is just like sort of this emo kind of weesh guy. But that's the chick that he wanted to get with is with that kind of guy, and I'm like, that's because your body and your being built doesn't insulate you from being congruent,
You're
having
not
game,
then
having
entitled.
you're still blue pill. You still think that this is the way things ought to be, and all you have to do is gross out in one area, like money, muscles, and game. He grossed out in muscles because that was his greatest strength, right? To his credit, right? But everything else suffers as a result of that. So he's not the complete package anymore. He's really good at being big and everything else, but if you can't carry a conversation, if you don't have any personality, if you just stumble, you trip over your own dick. That's just the way that you're not going.
It must be really, really big.
I think there's some girls.
I would say, and this stage in the game, the men are lacking, but the men are most lacking in the social skills. I think if the majority of men, and this is somebody that I talk a lot about money, if the majority of men could just get it together socially, I think the rest would follow. But I also have to say, I think it's due part to not only social media, but like this online dating. This online dating is really fucking all of us over because it's so low effort. People even talk about, well, I ghosted somebody, that I had a date with him on Friday. You've never met him. You've never met him. Did you even really ghost him? Do you even know if he was real? We don't even know who ghosted who. You guys have never met. It's kind of sad because we continue in this loop of like, we don't have a lot of social skills, but yet we're not actually making real plans, going out on the real date and going in person.
This is a constant question that I have been asked really since the beginning of this year, okay? And when we look at fictional depictions like adolescence and all these questions about what's happened to masculinity, why are men falling off, why are guys, they're socially inept, what's the crisis of quote-unquote masculinity, and it all comes back to that social skills thing, where it's one thing to understand what's going on and talk about it and everything else. It's another thing to take action. It's like guys simply just don't want to take action. And the reason why they don't want to do that is because they're online all the time, just commiserating about this kind of stuff. And what happens is, and I'm using this term in the clinical sense, their social skills are retarded. It literally they have to catch up to that. So when he's doing MOA and I'm doing Reignite, I'm trying to help guys sort of, reintegrate themselves back into the sexual marketplace, or these guys trying to integrate into the marketplace in the first place, right? What we're teaching is not game, it's not pickup artists, it's social skills is what it is that they didn't get along the way. Because when we learn social skills, we do by doing, by observing behavior and aping that behavior. If you are not seeing that live in real time all the time, and you're being brought up behind a tablet or a screen or a phone or something like that, you don't pick up vocal intonations, you don't pick up subcommunications,
Body
you don't
language.
pick up like facial expressions. You know, I could raise my voice like this, and you don't hear that in a text. So it's like you wonder why there's this uptick in diagnosis of autism amongst young men right now. I don't think it's autism. I think it's just simply a lack of learning those social skills.
I would support
and so
that.
where the do they go to learn these social skills?
Where there were guys that came out of the country and they really did need to pick up like social skills when talking to women. So it's like Joe had attractive women there and we're talking to these men and we literally had a workshop where it's like he told the girls, okay, show that you're really interested in this man. So, you know, I'm touching his arm, I'm laughing, I'm asking him questions. And then just to show them like what it was like if a woman isn't interested, I'm crossing my arms, I'm answering with one word, I'm rolling my eyes. Like, cause it really is down to the basics of like, they have no idea. Yeah. And so it's like there are classes like that. Like I was there too, and it was honestly so fun.
Where you have the guys that are talking back and forth to girls,
Yep.
and then you give them feedback afterwards.
Exactly.
So it's like in a non-hostile environment, so that they
Exactly.
can understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong.
Exactly.
So consider you're a man and your boy in your formative years going through puberty. The majority of your interactions are on social media.
Yep.
And so you get to this point where you get a little bit older and then you start talking to women. And then like what you're talking about, Monica, a lot of guys won't get that because they're afraid to talk to women. Or
Exactly.
they're just not very popular, not traditionally good looking. And so what happens is now they keep guessing wrong whenever they have these interactions. And because they keep getting wrong, they get punished. They don't understand why they're being punished.
They get down about just the
They get down
relationship.
about it,
Yeah.
and some of them become very angry. If you're a man and you're trying to help other men level up, there's always going to be people who question you, hate you, think that whatever you're doing
People
is
like
fake.
me, I'm a female.
Right, for sure. It happens all the time. Like CJ's been my friend for like, we've been friends for like the last 15 years. In this whole situation, she sees, because you know other people that are in the space, no matter what good you do, everyone's like, you're just paying these hoes or you're being toxically masculine.
It's in the comments right now.
I was just going to say, I got it right here. I got it right here.
It's right
It's like,
fucking here.
It's like, yeah, I don't got $2,000 to learn social skills.
Yeah.
Do you have $14.99?
One thing that really stuck
Do you
out.
have
If you're on
$14.99?
Audible, you get it for free.
Start here.
But he'd rather
bootleg
sit
it from all
there-
the pirates.
He'd rather sit there on a free YouTube show and claim, "Oh, women don't bring shit to the table. I built the table." Sir, you couldn't build the table if it was you bought it from IKEA. You couldn't do it. But you're sitting over there. You're in your comfort zone. You're in your warm house, and you're with your Postmates, and you're doing all that, and you're saying, "Women suck. I'll never get one, so I might as well just be angry on the internet."
Go ahead.